Hello, welcome to Matchy Makes. I am Crystal, and today we're going to ply together that alpaca wool blend. We are going to swift it up, wash it, and even have it knitted into a project. Let's go. One single, two singles. I'm gonna pop them up on here. If you want them to spin slower, put this part down. If you want them to spin faster, put this part down because they'll spin really fast on this metal grommet. The bobbin, this one is really big, so. And we're going to spin it in the Z direction because we spent the other two in the S direction. One. Through the loop. So we have both singles through the loop. It's a little difficult with them up here. In fact, I'm going to switch them up, even though I want them to spin slower. I'm afraid I'm going to pull the single apart, considering it's alpaca and it's not supported by another strand yet. So, yeah, to practice with that. Spinning around, catching together. Okay, we'll get a little bit on here, and I'm just watching the twist. So I'm not going too fast. Okay, stop. Hold off where you were. You want to pull out a little bit just to test the spin out a little bit. And we'll see that it doesn't, well, it does catch up on itself a little bit. So we're probably putting a little too much twist on that. Easy solve for the short, just pull it out another couple inches and let that twist go all the way up. And see there, now it's relaxed. I'm gonna hand twist it back on too. So I don't have much, I'm just gonna leapfrog it down. Because the goal is that it's balanced and doesn't want to go back in on itself. So we can just, how to solve the problem if you're putting too much spin in it is either you slow your feet down or you speed your hands up. So since I can't really do too much faster with my hands, slowing the feet down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Each yarn will act a little differently. You see where the single came out too fast. I don't know if you can see that, and got caught back up on itself. You want to gently work that out. If you just let that go through, it'd be this nasty knot. I use my nails a little bit, but I got it out. Alrighty. Trying to keep it separated and guided with one hand and going through with the other. Get it back started. Some wheels start really easy with your feet sometimes. Other wheels just don't. This one's pretty good. Guess I leave it in a weird spot. This is just a test spin. Hopes I get enough to do a hat, but at least I'll get enough to do a sample. Then I'll see if I want to increase the wool content. You definitely need 20% wool content for alpaca to get it to be stable to do items that you don't want Well, you want it to hold the shape. You don't want much drape or much stretch. Now it's catching up again. Now it's catching up where I have it a little thinner. So note to self, don't spin it so thin. So out, pull back, in, out, pull back, in. Yeah. This should spin up pretty quick. So I'm going to continue spinning this up. Hello. Well, I finished spinning and plying together this Angora Willamette blackface. And now we are going to put it on the Swift and get it washed up and do a test knit. Now this is, so you can actually see the wheel. The Spinolution Bullfrog. So I'm just going to release the pressure on the band. We're going to pull the bobbin off. Switch it out with that one. There it goes. Pop this up here. Now this is the Swift that comes with it. It's like might be a secondary purchase, but it goes with most Spinolutions. And this one just goes right on. I do put this piece back on just to keep it from sliding off the front. Now it's not a perfect fit. It will bobble back and forth between the guards a bit, but come on, babe. Oh, had it upside down. Okay. But that's all it'll do is bobble back and forth. And since this is a small amount of yarn, we're going to use the smaller Swift, which I believe is only 2 yards. And if you notice on this one's smooth. So this is where you'd pull the yarn off, and also where you should start. And the rest have a little knob that catches the yarn. And there's also another hole so you can tie off. It's like that way on the bigger one too. Here's the yarn. I have this situated so the metal bit's at the bottom. With the metal bit's at the bottom, it'll come off really fast. We will start right here by putting the yarn through the hole. Loop it through, just a loose knot. Now we start this part pretty controlled because I don't want it to pop free. I don't want to overstretch the yarn because right now it's holding pretty nice. So it goes back and forth. And after I go a couple passes around, you can go a little faster. Just make sure not to over pull it, because these are fine fibers we're dealing with. The thicker your fibers, the more robust your yarn is, the more wear and tear, the rougher you can be. The finer the fibers, the less rough you should be. So if we ever spin rug yarn, be tough with that stuff. Oops, if you missed one, just go back and get it. If you wind up looking like you have a triangle through this part, you know you need to back it up. Because after I'm done washing this, we'll swift it out again. If it fits on this, yay. If not, I have one that extends. And while I'm doing this, I'm just filling the yarn, seeing how consistent it is. And it's pretty good. I mean, anything homespun is going to be not perfect. You don't want it to be perfect. But it doesn't feel fragile in my hand. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. Yeah, it feels pretty much the same gauge. There's no big chunks or really skinny chunks that I'm feeling. After get this washed up, I'll get an estimate on the gauge that it is. Because I have a feeling it's gonna poof up or felt a little bit when I wash it. Which, having that alpaca in there, I think I want it to felt up a little bit. Just to make the yarn more sturdy. All right. We reached the end. Well, that didn't want to stay on. Okay. Now we reached the end. So I just want to make a simple loop just to lock that on. I have this bag of ties where I pulled them off other things of yarn. And I just reuse them. That's probably silk. So since this one isn't huge, I'm gonna just go through the center, out, through the center, out. Get this guy caught in it going one way and then back the other so it won't come undone. And we're gonna tie it so it stays together, but not too tight because you want the water to flow through it. All right, and we definitely want one on the other side. Here's that one. Center through. If this was thicker, I'd break it into 3 instead of just the 2. There. Bunny ears and tie bow. And then I'm going to put another one here to catch this end. Okay, so we caught that half and tie this. Now this yarn has been sitting for a couple days, so it remembers its twist pretty well. And loop it back through. Tie it down, bunny loops, tie it through. Now we find the one that doesn't have the arch, and it just slides off. I'll put a little pressure on it. There we go. And here's the test to see how overspun it actually is. And it's hanging pretty good. So not overspun. All right, I'm gonna go wash it up. Hello, welcome to the washing room. I have this basin full with warm water, just warm to the touch. I'm gonna put a little soap in here. You don't need too much. Then I'm just gonna break the soap apart with my hand. And we're just gonna place in our yarn. Gently pushing it down. All right. just gonna hang that off the side. I'm gonna try to get the water the same temperature. Get the soap out. I do have a cup of the water that's out, so I can see if it's the same temperature. And I definitely don't need as much as before. Yeah, it's warm. Just pushing it down gently. If this was a dyed thing of yarn, you might see bleeding and have to wash more, but this is all natural, so shouldn't be anything in the water, unless of course my ties are bleeding. I don't see anything in there at all. Nope. Yeah, there's a little bit floating where the little string from the tie broke off. That looks good. We'll give it one more rinse just to make sure all the soap is out. Now if I shock it a little bit now, it won't be too bad. So if the temperature is different, it's just gonna felt on itself. It shouldn't felt the strands together. And back in it goes. So pretty easy to wash your yarn out. If you wanted to really shock and felt it, you actually string out the water and then hit it against a hard surface. I normally use my counter in the kitchen because it's granite. Put a couple towels on top of it and you just whap it right in. But with this, I don't want it that bound up. Little felt, it's fine, not that bound up. But you can see, pretty, it's hanging nice. I'm gonna roll it in a towel and then hang it to dry. Now this room is warm enough. I'm just gonna leave it right here, hanging, and it's hanging fairly straight. Some people weight their yarns to stretch them out a little bit. I don't think this needs that. You learn as you go, as far as what needs weighted and what doesn't. I'm okay if this bangs back up on itself. Those guard hairs are still working their way out. The few that there were. Anyhow, I'm gonna pull those out when it's dry. It's messing it up, pulling it out now. Let it dry, and by tomorrow, I should be able to do a sample knit. I'll be back. Hello, welcome back. Our alpaca wool blend yarn is nice and dry. It did shrink about an inch, so it will no longer fit on the Swift that I created it on. So we're going to put it on this one and turn this beautiful fluff into a ball of yarn. Got that in the center. Make sure you don't have any pieces hanging over. Raise it back up. And this one is pulling from underneath. So I'm just gonna walk it in here and tie it off here so it doesn't get caught on anything else. Just making a little loop. And the yarn really fluffed up. And this one comes on the outside and I'm going in the right direction. Through here. And just by looking at this, I can see it's somewhere between a fingering weight and a DK weight. back a little bit and see how the page works. Sapphire, I don't think you want on the table, honey. Yeah, no, kitten. Back on the windowsill, kitten. There you go. I don't know how many people out there have cats that want to help them with their crafts. Let me know in the comments below. Does your animal help you? Or hinder you, as the case may be? Alright. I don't think this is enough for hats, enough for a headband. I'm going to try that. Then hang it somewhere to see if it will actually stretch out. But it's got a beautiful aura to it. Oh, the light isn't that great here. Really overcast today, but my cameras, there are my cameras. It's got a good aura to it. It's super duper soft. We just need to see if it's durable enough. I'll be back with something knitted up. Hey, I'm back. Knitted up a sample. So this pattern is actually on Ravelry. I knit it in the round, and it was actually designed to do in a strip and then sew together. The pattern was designed for 100% alpaca. So doing it with the blend turned out pretty nice. We got some good stretch. And this pattern is like a seed stitch with plain knit on the sides. And I did a stretchy bind off. So also have more stretch in the bind off than you do on the start of it all. But good stretch to it. I think the 20% wool to 80% alpaca actually works pretty well, but I want the hat to be a little bit more substantial. This is pretty light, so I think I'll go up to 30% for the final, and it still should be super soft, like this is, but great little headband to hold all the hair back, right? Do you agree with me, Sapphire? Yeah, okay, Sapphire's on the other side. You flip it, you can see Sappy. Yep, Sapphire was watching me film. Hey, pretty girl, you watching me film? Yeah, who's a good kitty? So anyway, I'm gonna do the 30% of that Willamette blackface sheep's wool to 70% alpaca and blend it up and get a hat knitted. Not before Christmas, but it'll be close. Anyway, happy knitting, happy crocheting, and most of all, happy making. See you next time, folks. Bye.